Hey, welcome back to the Ready State. TRS member asked through the site, hey, I think my back is getting baked from doing all these burpees. What gives? We thought it was a great time to talk about the complicated relationship a lot of strength and conditioning movement coaches have with the burpee, and why we love to smoke people with the burpee, because it's a wonderful thing to do if you're trapped in your bathroom to stay fit, right? So there's a lot of motion, and believe it or not, the burpee is very complex. So we're going to take on one piece of it that may help explain why your back is getting a little bit baked. Now, believe it or not, one of the reasons I like the burpee, especially the way we sometimes programming it as a fixed movement or block movement with feet together, is it's a great way to teach global extension of the spine and global flexion of the spine. So if you're not following or tracking, as I get into the bottom position of my burpee, one of the things that's going to happen is I don't do a strict movement up. I squeeze my butt and snake up, right? And so what we're teaching the brain to do is how to sequence and actually get some of this global extension position. So if you're a burpee hater, sorry, it's an easy way to get your athletes into practicing some global extension and some global flexion. Why? Because as I worm up and then pike, I've suddenly put a ton of good motion of extension and flexion into my athletes. So maybe I don't need to do 1,000 of them a day, but the burpee is here to stay, right? Joe DeCina is one of our good friends at the Spartan race. We love burpees, and it's really an excellent way to test robustness of position. It's an advanced movement where we can really quickly see if people have full range of motion or not. So as we talk again about this low back, there's two different movements I'm going to do here, and see if you can spot the difference, right? So here's the first one, and then here's the second one. Could you see the difference? If you went slow motion, you would see on the second one, I squeezed my butt to initiate and protect my back before it happened. Now look, if you do a few of them, it probably doesn't matter, and that's why we always have a complex relationship with conditioning, and what we're always trying to do is put the skill back into conditioning, right? Don't get me wrong, at some point we need to get started and get some work done, but we can always be layering on skill. And if you can't squeeze your butt when you're doing a burpee, and if that's too much for you, you may be at an intensity where your brain is not any more connected to your body and you're just a piece of meat. Welcome to the meat club. What I want you to appreciate is we have an opportunity to actually teach ourselves to sequence, because then when I'm in the air in an extended position, like doing a kipping pull-up or swinging a ball at the volleyball net, I've actually practiced this condition. Or I find myself in yoga doing things that look like cobra, or transitioning from chaturanga back up. And what you're going to see here is that if I can get my glutes squeezed in this position, then that ultimately limits the amount of extension that happens. And if I don't have my glute squeeze and I'm just suffering, get up off the ground again, I will go until my back runs into its bony or soft tissue limits, which is not the same thing as trying to have all the sequences going. So if your back feels a little bit achy in this bottom position, or you connect the fact that, God, I don't feel great after doing 1,000 burpees that someone programmed, take a look at this. Squeezing that butt means then that I'm practicing a skill under cardiometabolic demands, cardiorespiratory demands, challenging position, having to get up and down off the ground. It's a wonderful movement if we mine that gold. And that gold means that I'm never ever going to be teaching my athletes to do one thing in conditioning and asking them to do a different thing in our complex movement skills. I want to reinforce all the complexity, and better spinal function means that when I globally extend, I want to have my butt on, which is why we teach that in lunges, and we teach that in pressing overhead and all the other motions. You end up in a split jerk, back butt better be squeezed. Do a couch stretch, we're trying to teach you to be an extension with the glute squeeze. So here we have this bilateral, leg straight, long lever, globally arched position, squeeze your butt. See if that doesn't help improve your burpee time, because that's what we were after all along.